You see, I'm an atheist.
That's the line that helped confirm that my last theory on Darling in the Franxx was absolutely correct. That's the line that finally helped me uncover the motives of Dr. Franxx. If you haven't seen that video yet, do yourself the favor and don't miss out on it, so go click that card in the top right hand corner or just look for the link in the description down below. I highly suggest you watch that video first, and when you're done with that, come back here and I'll explain everything I didn't have the answer to in that video. Now moving on, given the title and thumbnail of this video, you're probably already wondering how I can make such a bold claim when we clearly see human beings living in plantations throughout the show. But that's the thing, they aren't human. For this to make sense, we have to look back at the bombshell of information the show drops in episode 19. Up until that point, it was only ever hinted that the children were just clones. However, in episode 19, we not only learned that they are indeed clones, but also why they are clones. In my last video, I pointed out that the Franxx could only be operated in male and female pairs and that children were used due to adults not having reproductive organs anymore. But why don't adults have reproductive organs? How is this possible? Well, it turns out that after meddling with a new renewable energy source, although I'm not sure how renewable it can be, but I'll get to that in a second. Anyhow, humanity also discovers, with the help of Papa and friends, that this renewable energy source can potentially make them immortal. So they asked Dr. Werner Frank, or as we now call him, Dr. Franxx, to come up with the solution to their problem, that is death. Dr. Franxx ends up succeeding in his experiments, and humanity thus not only has a renewable energy source, but also becomes immortal. However, there is a cost that Dr. Franxx himself points out. With human beings now living forever, they lost their reproductive functions in exchange for their immortality. But what does Dr. Franxx want? What is his motivation? And what does that have to do with the title and thumbnail of this video? We're just about to get to that, internet. You see, while most of the planet decided to go ahead and gain immortality via this world's version of the Philosopher's Stone, or as I like to call it, the Philosopher's Goop Juice, Dr. Franxx wanted to maintain his mortality. His reasoning behind that is that gaining immortality meant that he'd have to give up his humanity. And Dr. Franxx isn't wrong about that. A huge part about being a human being is the fact that we live and then we inevitably die. It's what motivates us to work so hard towards our goals. Losing our ability to die, and especially our ability to reproduce, is just absolutely inhumane. And what do you know? The episode with these revelations is conveniently titled Inhumanity. Eventually, everyone on planet Earth ends up using the magic serum, and thus humanity is lost. They become extinct. Now, my fellow Weebtaku, this is the part where I finally explain how all of this relates to the motives of Dr. Franxx. You see, he himself eventually altered his body in a mechanical way to keep himself alive, so arguably, I'd say he too lost his humanity. And with humanity rendering itself extinct, unable to reproduce due to the overpopulation, and eventually due to the effects of their mortality, the planet was slowly becoming a desert due to them harvesting too much of that renewable resource. Not so renewable now, is it? I mean, I guess it still is. It just so happens to also destroy the surface of the planet. And to make their matters worse, as if Dr. Franxx hadn't witnessed enough tragedy in his lifetime, Klaxosaurs erupted from the depths of the planet and started attacking cities. Regular military-grade weapons were deemed ineffective against them, and it was only after nuking one several times that they were finally able to come to understand a little bit about these monsters. It was through the chromosomes of the Franxx that Dr. Franxx developed weapons that could later defeat them, and that it had to be male and female pairs with reproductive organs that would pilot the machines. Anyhow, it's because of all this that Dr. Franxx had to create clones, children with the single purpose of defeating Klaxosaur, which finally brings us to his motive with Squad 13. The reason Squad 13 is allowed to have emotions is because while Dr. Franxx may not believe in God, he definitely enjoys pretending to be God. While everyone reveres Papa as their deity, he caused them to lose their humanity and ended human civilization as we know it. Dr. Franxx, on the other hand, developed a squad of clones with emotions in hopes that they would one day reproduce, thus restoring humanity to the world. Human beings are gone, but Dr. Franxx is trying to bring him back by developing his version of Adam and Eve. Like I said at the beginning of this video wraps up my other theory, the exploration of theology, philosophy, and sexuality of Darling in the Franxx. And if you haven't seen that video yet, click that link in the description so you can get the complete picture of what's happening in the show. There are 4 episodes left at the time of this recording, and while I've been slowly putting this puzzle piece together, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Also, what type of Naruto alien bullshit is this cop-out story that we're getting right now? Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button and let me know how you feel in the comments below. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button and that lovely little bell below so you can be notified when my next video is out. Also, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you want to stay up to date in what's happening in my life, or if you just want to see some really great cosplay. Once again, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.